Welcome back to Coffee and Chaos. Hola, Jen.
Hi, Alina Pineda.
You love to say Alina Pineda.
I do.
And I don't even want to know why. Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I am excellent. How are you girls?
I'm good now that so this is Coffee and Chaos, right?
Coffee and Chaos.
So we don't really talk about coffee, but I waited specifically to drink my coffee this morning till I got here.
That must have been hard to do.
Well, I walked in, I told Solomon, oh my God, I'm going to get a headache if I don't drink my coffee. And he's like, wait, let me ground you some beans. And so, now I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I'm better. I'm back to me. And it's not like I need the coffee. I think it's a psychological thing that both sides of my grandparents had coffee in the morning and they would even have it at night with some pan dulce. So growing up, I saw that. You start your day with coffee, you end your day with coffee. And always my grandma, for some reason, typical Mexican grandma who just loves her grandbabies, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of milk. Hear me how you want some. So for me, I'm like 4 years old drinking coffee.
Wow.
So it's such a nostalgic thing that I have to have it. So when I don't have my coffee, it's almost like I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I need it. Not because of the caffeine, but because of the memories, the triggers.
Yes.
So I have my first cup of coffee and I'm so excited.
I was waiting to see if she would get grumpy though. That's what I was waiting for.
I probably will. At work, the guys know like she hasn't had her coffee. Let's go get her some coffee. They all know like I need my coffee. And you're drinking iced coffee.
You know what? I'm actually drinking Diet Coke in there today.
Oh, it's Diet Coke? That's not coffee?
I literally don't know what happened to me. I drink hot coffee every morning, 1 cup. And then in the afternoon, I always switch to an iced coffee. And a few months ago, I just switched over to a Diet Coke in the afternoon. And I've been stuck on it ever since.
Now, does that go back to the caffeine maybe?
Yeah, for sure. It's the caffeine.
Okay,
if I don't have like a Diet Coke, I know it's not healthy for you. But, you know, compared to other things in my life in the past.
That you could be doing?
Yeah, that I could be doing. It's a big, yes.
Where have you been?
Where have I been?
Like, what's going on? Like, we got to catch up with Solomon. Like, the three of us are back together. So, Solomon,
the band's back together.
I have been nowhere. I've been here the whole time. You guys are the ones who are not here.
How's everything going? How's business? How's everything?
Things have been good. I have been working on, I'm always trying to improve something, right? So one of the things I added now was face tracking. Because a lot of times you'll set the cameras up to look at people. And they'll move, they move left to the right. So now you notice if you move a little bit left, a little right, it'll follow you. So that's your cue to try it.
Really?
Try it.
Okay, wait. So where am I looking? At the lights?
Lean to the right. Just lean to the right a little bit.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the camera.
And lean to the other side. Let's see. There it goes. See how it moves a little bit? Just sort of keeps you in the middle. Same thing there. See?
I saw it.
Right.
I saw it.
So it's just a little subtle thing, but I'm always looking to improve stuff. It's always, that's a fun part for me is just, just constantly working on it, making it.
But you were so amazing because even everybody who's come, like the 2 guys that came, the 3 girls that came, everybody was just like, you just walk in, sit down. I said, and he does everything. Like we don't have to worry about anything. We could even say, can you stop real quick, Solomon? And then we reboot and we go back and he does it for us, right? He does everything.
I hate doing that. You guys should just be organic and just talk.
And we are for the most part. And that's what I was trying to tell people is there's no editing. Like, have we once done any editing?
No, not really.
Everything is just whatever you say, he's throwing on there. So you better hope you say the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, unless you say something that could potentially incriminate you. Then,
we don't talk about
we'll cut that out. But
we don't do that. Yeah. All right, Jen. So you haven't been here.
I haven't been here.
What is going on with you?
Yes, where have I been? Well, I'd like to be telling you that, you know what, I've been on a 2-week vacation in the French Riviera. But no, the truth is the past couple of episodes, I was having dental work done. And I was supposed to have some couple root canals and everything, but I went and I was like a big baby. Like they did one and I was scheduled for the other one the same day. And then I was like, there's no way now you go into the other side of my mouth on the same day. I was like, yeah.
First of all, you're not a big baby. Take that away. Because dental work for me is the worst. It is painful.
Yes.
So 0.
Yes.
So do not ever think that you're a baby for that.
Okay.
But why didn't you, I know the story, so I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Why didn't you get put to sleep or why didn't you get some extra
Yes, well, I was seriously thinking about getting put to sleep or at least some laughing gas or something. They numb my mouth and all of that. Yeah. But my fiance, who is from another country and he is older than me. I don't know if that plays a part in it, but he's very strong, as in like, I literally think he could like break his leg or be shot or something and he would still go to work. So I was telling him, oh, I'm doing research to go to a specialist and maybe get put to sleep or something for the dentist. He's like, are you kidding me? You're a big wuss. Like, oh my gosh. Like, you don't need any of that stuff. I was trying to do his accent earlier and I'm not making.
Say, what is up with that?
I know. I'm not making fun of him.
Remember, I was like, is he Russian or is he Mexican? Like, what is that?
I know. Sometimes I get it. And sometimes, and anybody that knows me and knows him, like I do that in front of him. Like I, try to do his accent
like
or whatever.
Lucy and Ricky.
Yes. So, anyhow,
you let him talk you out of that.
I let him talk me out of that.
First of all, homeboy, this is not 1950. This is 2023. I would have been like, because I've had stuff done and I've literally, I'm totally don't take any drugs whatsoever, but my dentist gave me an anxiety pill to take before I got there, put me fully to sleep. And so when I was all said and done, I was like, now the after part, I took very little painkillers afterwards because I'm worried about that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of that. But during the moment, like before it, I was like, give it all to me.
Well, Alina, you're going to have to give me the number of your dentist.
Oh, I love my dentist. He was awesome.
Yeah. So it went good. It went fine or whatever, but I had to take a couple weeks off for that. So
was your face all fat like a chipmunk?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I have puffy cheeks anyways, kind of. I don't know. As a baby, I used to really have big old chipmunk cheeks. So
Let's see. Blow them out. Blow them out. Let's see. Oh. There you go.
Okay, so what else has been going on?
So what else has been going on in my week? Okay, so this past week for me, yesterday I went to the Hollywood Pantages Theater, and I have it right here. I saw the Tina Turner
Heard that's really good.
play musical. Oh my gosh. She's
phenomenal to begin with.
She's phenomenal to begin with. But I go pretty regularly, a few times a year, to Hollywood Pantages Theater and see live theater, and this was like the best play ever. That was my favorite. It was touching. I cried. I laughed. I got up. We were rolling like a river. I mean, it was so much fun. Yeah. It packed full house. The day she had, we've had our tickets for months, and she passed, just recently. Yeah. And the day she passed, we started getting all kinds of things online, and the tickets shot up right away. People were from 1,000, 5,000 and up. Oh my gosh. Were and there was people, the whole block. I'd never seen anything like it. We're outside, scalpers out there selling tickets. People, I'd never seen anything like that at the Pantages. Nice. Trying to get in there. It was amazing, phenomenal. So that happened to me. And on another note, I was coming home from work the other night, and I had worked a long shift like I do many days. I love my new job, but I'm coming home. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, maybe 8:30 even. I don't know. And have you ever been in a position where you're dead tired after work? You don't want to stop at the store, but you know there's something you're out of and you have to stop. Okay, so it was one of those things, and I was like, okay, I have to stop for bananas, and I think it was peanut butter, because God forbid I don't have my banana peanut butter chocolate smoothie every morning. So I run in the store. I had a cute work outfit on, so at least that was that. But I run in the grocery store real quick, and I'm coming down the aisle, and all of a sudden, as I'm coming out of the grocery store, boom, I bump into, I don't want to say my ex, but somebody from my past, not my baby daddy, but somebody from my past that I used to have a, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I think in these days they call them situationships. I had a situationship.
Wait, what did Jada and Will call their thing? What was it called? They called it
they said a situationship.
No, it wasn't situationship. No. It was what was the thing that they used that they had? Solomon, I know you know.
I have no clue.
They used it. Jada and Will said that they're.
I think it was a situationship. I want to say it was.
I don't know.
But we can circle back to that.
Yeah, okay, go on.
I was coming out and I bumped into somebody from my past, and it was like, have you ever been in one of those situations and you're like, oh my gosh, there's the person that maybe at one time, really affected you. First of all, it's somebody that you're like, they've seen you naked. They've seen you naked. They've seen you exposed. All of that, but they don't know who you are maybe now, at this point in your life. And you at one time were had caused you a lot of pain, maybe. And this person had, at one point in my life. And we bumped into each other, and and did quick small talk.
Yeah.
Just, like at first though, I'm like, you're in denial that it's even happening. You're like, oh my God, can I just pretend I'm invisible right now? Can I pretend I'm not me? And like, is there any way I could just turn the other way or pretend I'm invisible? But
after the small talk, how did you feel walking away?
after the small talk, I was in my car and I'm driving home, and I realized as I'm driving, like, oh my gosh, I don't feel anything. And I was so thrilled about that. It was like this person at one time that I had this, let's say he had a hold on me at one point. Okay. And it was a very unhealthy situation for me. It was very toxic. It was the type of person that I used to pick before I had self-worth and self-love.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never allow myself to be treated that way these days. And I didn't have any anger or anything. It was like I got to see, I was so grateful that I wasn't, the hold the person used to have on me was like somebody that's on drugs. Like,
love is an addiction.
He was an addiction for me.
Yes.
And I was so grateful because I was like, oh my God.
You're free of it.
I didn't, I'm not on like crack no more. Like, oh my God. Like,
It's almost like a healing moment.
It was like a healing moment. And if anything, I could see him clearly. And I don't know if that's who he is today, but the person he was then, I could see, it was like, like the Britney Spears song, like womanizer, and it was just like, he might not be that person today. Maybe he is, but
you don't have a hold on me anymore.
Don't have a hold on me. I'm not, I wasn't like a fish with a hook anymore. Yeah. I was good. And
I think when I ran into Marcus, it had to be like 3 years ago or something at Seth's game. I think I mentioned it already. He showed up to one game.
Yeah.
Like when he walked past me, I was like, I called Grandma Kay, Grandma Kay is my daughter's grandma, who's like she's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and we gossip and talk all day. So I called her and I was like, oh my God, Marcus. And she obviously is like, that's my grandson and he did him wrong. So like, doesn't have the best, feelings towards him. She's like, what did you do? And I was like, nothing. I just kept walking. Like, it was hilarious. Like, we laughed about it. It was almost like we were just gossiping. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then she was like, are you going to like watch the game and say anything to him? I was like, he has like no hold on us. Like the fact that you're coming to his game, like no hold, right? Yes. But it was just funny because afterwards I instantly had to call her. So like, did you feel like that afterwards? Like you wanted to call someone and laugh or?
Well, you know what? I think I've talked about this before. I'm in therapy and I had a therapy session actually the next day. And I told my therapist, I was like, my first reaction was to like call you. I was like, wait, do I need to call my therapist or something? And then I was like, no. I was like, I don't care. Like, I didn't care. She calls him suavecito. And she's like, oh, really? I was like, I was good. It was a very freeing moment. Good. I had experienced that years ago when I did see my ex-husband, baby daddy, and who used to have a hold on me for like 10 years. And
well, you guys got 3 kids in America.
And when he got out of prison and we saw each other, and it was the first time ever since the moment I met him that I just didn't have zero feelings for him. And I was like, literally, I felt like raising my hands and like as if God heard
and he probably looked good too because he's been sober for 10 years.
Yeah.
He's fit, like all that. And he still had no hold on you.
Zero hold. Zero. Right. So it was a freeing moment.
When Javier went to jail for his little 8 months and he came back, I was like, ooh, hi, what's your name again?
Yeah. Yeah.
His arms were all big. His stomach was all 6-packed out,
Yeah, dang it. They do look good when they get out. But but I'm not living that life no more, Alina.
Whole, like bad boy thing we were like, okay. Anyway, so what else is going on?
Yeah, so
How are the kids?
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what's going on with my kids. one of them I spoke to on the way here and he was like, Mom, absolutely talk about it. And it's something like I told you, I want to talk about things that of course I want, others to get to know us and all of that, but things that we've been through that are our whole purpose in our conversations and on the podcast are things that we've been through, overcome, and how we're getting through it, coffee and chaos. Yeah. So I do have 3 kids, 26, 24, and 21. And my 2 daughters are in college and they both work.
How are they? Like what's going on in their lives? Anything new? Anything
new? They both work. My daughter is interning in downtown LA for the union for the teachers and
Oh, how cool.
helping making all their signs and their things. Because she graduated, she's still going, but with her 2-year, now she's going for her 4-year. And the other one works for the school district, and she's been there for a couple of years and she's the supervisor down
Nice.
for the school district and goes to college. They both live at home.
Very ambitious.
Yeah, very ambitious. So they're doing well. My eldest, my son, on the other hand, and it's not that I want to say that it's bad, because it's been something that he's been struggling with for many years. He struggles with addiction, with alcohol and drug addiction. As I've talked about, that I'm in recovery. And as a parent, it can be a very, very painful thing, to put it mildly. And he's 26, and since he's been a teenager, he's struggled with
Has
addiction.
to be one of the hardest things as a mother that you have to go through.
Absolutely. It's like he had been doing really well. He had a few months sober.
Yeah, last time we talked, he was in the
my
sober living
gosh.
home doing really well, and you were really excited. And
Yes, he had been doing really well. He did the detox, the program, the outpatient. He was living in a structured sober living and all of that. And he also, he's very involved in the skateboarding community. It's like his whole entire life. He's a semi-pro skateboarder. And there's a few pictures of him. And he's very well known in the skateboarding community. Let's say that. And
he looks more like you than Dave.
yes, he does. He does. There's some, I can see his dad in him. And his voice, their voice is like identical.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. He likes to joke with me once in a while and pretend he's his dad,
Oh,
wow.
So what's going on with him now?
Yeah, I had a picture of him. I don't know where it is, but he had recently he was at Venice Beach, and he won a competition there. Because in the skateboarding community, you're either if you win the competition and you get some money, like you're, staying at a 5-star hotel, he's just throwing his money away and all of that. But if you're not, then hey, you got to join the regular workforce and get a job, Yeah. And there are even pro skaters, many of his good friends, and they have to have jobs as well, But he had a few months sober. He won a skate competition. He was on the cover of some magazine and all of that. And he went out. He picked up that first drink again and left the sober living, and he goes pretty hard. It's anybody that knows him knows it's like I live with this anxiety of like, is my son still alive? Like, just to hear his voice, because we usually talk like once a day, and then when he doesn't call me for a few days,
has to be scary.
I've called the jails, I've called the ERs looking for him, and sometimes he's been there, and it's a relief.
Because he's alive.
Because I know he's alive.
So knowing that he's there is way better than not knowing where he's at or that he's dead.
Yes, absolutely. When your kid gets to the point where when they're in the hospital, a rehab or a or jail is a relief.
Okay.
That's where his addiction takes him to. And when I say hospital, I mean nobody's ever had their loved ones in a hospital, but at least they're alive.
No, for sure. We knew what you meant,
so so he called, and and
was he on his way to New York, you said?
He was going to go on his way to New York. He was on his way to New York. And he had met somebody, and he was, he can hear the worry in my voice. And so he was trying to bring humor into it. And he was like, Mom, I'm like, what happened? What happened? And he's like, Mom, damn it, cocaine and strippers.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
We won't say who, but
funny,
yes.
but not funny.
Yeah,
funny, but not funny.
Yeah.
I know sometimes, and I'm sure there's maybe moms or dads that are listening to this that can relate. Sometimes things are so like heartbreaking that you like have to laugh.
Because what else can you do?
What else can you do?
Like if you buckle at this point, that's not going to help him.
Yes.
And you have to stay strong for your 2 daughters, right? And for yourself, you have to keep living as heartbroken as you are inside for him.
Yes. And that's the thing as well, because, we've talked about this, many times, because I'll reach out to you telling you what's going on, and you ask me how I'm feeling, and it's like an up and down of emotion, because it's like, even though I'm heartbroken and I have anxiety, I also have many positive things going on in my life right now. I do want to celebrate the fact that my daughters are in college and doing well. I have this new job that I love more than any job I ever had. I mean, I loved my other jobs, but this one I'm really enjoying it, and I'm good at it. You know,
and you don't want to take away from your daughter's accomplishments because you're so worried and congested over here with Jordan. But as a mom, at the end of the day, in the back of your head, that has to always be sticking back there.
That's right. And I also want to say this because I know probably other mom and dad can relate. Even though I worry so much about him, and the reason why I bring up the skateboarding and his talent in the skateboarding is it's such a complex thing. And this is what I mean by other parents can probably relate is even though he will go into such dark places with his alcohol and drug addiction, he also is very talented in other areas. That is just a part of him, his addiction. Yeah. And many parents, I'm sure, relate because maybe their son or daughter is an artist or I don't know, athlete or
singers, dancers. I mean, I think in anything that you do like that, there's always going to be that other part of it, right?
Yes.
The drinking, the partying, guys or girls, whatever your interest is,
Yes.
You're going to be fighting all those demons as you're succeeding.
Yes. And sometimes it's like, it was like the day he went out, he had won a competition in Venice Beach where some of the best skateboarders in the world come, and he's holding a magazine and, some kid that he signed his magazine. And, I mean, he's people from all around the world are taking his pictures and videos and everything. And it's like, I'm proud of that. But at the same time, like I talked to him the next day or a week later when he's, can't believe that he's alive. So he was on his way to New York and instead he took a detour and he met another skateboarder from Australia and they got in a van and headed to San Diego. And they're now, as we speak, in San Diego County.
What did he say? What he's going to do down there? What he wants to do down there? Like
they're skateboarding and some surfing, skateboarding and surfing, and just he said taking each day as it comes.
Yeah. And does he tell you that he's not sober now, or he's not?
No, he's
but
not.
Has he
sober
said anything
now.
to you about that, or?
He says he's trying to just drink. He's.
One question and one observation.
Yes.
I found that a lot of times when you have people who are uber creative, they a lot of times, if you notice, they have trouble like controlling their lives, right? They need someone in their life to give them that kind of control. I remember I worked with a photographer who was just as he was just excellent, but he had a manager who handled all of the other aspects of the business so he could focus just on simply being photographer. My brother's the same way. My brother taught me all kinds of stuff from computers to being a DJ. I mean, he's just super creative, but he has trouble controlling his life. And to this day, he still struggles with that. But I did have one question. So you said, now you're currently in a relationship with, you said your fiance, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's been what, 17 years you said?
We did have
on and off. Okay, yeah,
on and off. Yeah.
So, does he have any influence, input, interaction with your son from a male perspective?
No. When we got together, the first thing that I did have 3 kids. I was a young single mom, and I didn't want to put a relationship in front of my kids. The first thing I said to him was that my kids are going to come first. I just didn't want to get married, move in together. I just wanted my kids are going to come first. And then whatever time I have left over, like a date night or something, I can give that to you, and he's a good example. He's a good man, but there was a lot of challenges with my son through the years of him growing up. And I knew that if I brought anybody into that situation of what it was like growing up with him, always in trouble with school, with the law, with everything, that would have been hard for anybody to deal with. And that would have caused conflict with anyone. That would have caused conflict if I was still married to his own father.
I was going to say, I don't think with Seth, I always tell people this. When you're a single parent, like a single father with daughters, another woman, it's going to be a struggle. When you're a single mom with boys and you bring in another man, it's going to be a struggle. Seth has never been disrespectful to anybody that I dated or whatever. However, he's made it clear that's not my dad. He doesn't ever need to like tell me what to do or whatever. But I've always guarded Seth with that. Like no man was ever do that. But it is hard. And now you take your situation with Jordan, what he's going through, and some guy's going to tell him like, "Hey, you shouldn't drink. You're only whatever age. You shouldn't do this." Jordan's not going to listen.
Well,
No.
the reason I brought it up though is because it's different. Like with you, Alina, the relationships weren't as long. Now here, obviously, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Damn.
I mean,
He just called me
but
out.
but with Jen, it's been 17 years, right?
Yes.
You guys, like it or not, married or not, you guys have made a commitment to each other in
Yes.
some kind of way. So you
Yeah.
have this standing relationship. I would just think with this person in your life, understanding the struggles that you're having with your son and him being a male figure, it doesn't always have to be, let me walk in as your father. A lot of times it can just be, let me walk in with someone who's sort of gone down that road or has had some type of experience. And I was just curious if, because of the longevity of the relationship, if he had the ability to have some kind of influence on your son, but it sounds like you guys have sort of purposely worked to sort of keep the two separate.
Well, you know what, Solomon? That's a great question. And that I will say this. So my fiance, he's in recovery himself. He has 21 years sober. And he has 3 adult children himself. And one of his eldest adult child struggles with addiction, all of the same things that I just said.
Still to this day?
Still to this day.
Oh, okay. So
very seriously.
So you guys are able to lean on each other.
Absolutely. My fiance, though, is very involved in a program, though, for helping him to deal with that he had to join because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
A program that offers support to people that, like, I joke with people. I'm like, yeah, I should join that. I'm like, I needed like an intervention, but he's involved in that program. But him being just what sometimes all we can do is be an example. Does that answer the question, Solomon? Like just the example that he's been, like, for instance, I look back at myself. I didn't get sober and have my last drink till I was 35 years old, but I started coming, to trying to get sober, trying to change my life in the rooms of recovery and doing what my son's doing at age 19. So for 17 years, I did all that, what he's doing. And I look back to all the people that tried to help me, even a stepdad that I had back in the days.
And you've always talked highly about your stepdad.
Very highly of my stepdad. And they couldn't help me at the time. But looking back now, their words, their actions, the way they lived their life wasn't in vain. I just wasn't able to receive it at that time. So
I get that.
You see what I mean? So,
so do you at this point, like with Jordan though, as a mom, because I know for me, I don't know what I would do. Do Jordan calls and says, "Mom, I need money," or "Mom, I need this," or "Mom," do you do the tough love? Like, you choose to be out there, you handle it, or do you cave? Because I would probably cave.
Mhm.
Like, I won't even lie. Like,
yeah.
The whole tough love thing to me, like Seth can call me right now and be like, and it happened this week. He's in South Dakota playing and he rounds third and he slips. So it looked like he slipped on the grass. And I have the video. And so it's like, you know what his response was? "I need new cleats. My cleats are old and I'm buying new cleats." And so my little heart's like, "Oh, my baby needs new cleats. Okay, go buy new cleats, Dad." But in my head, I was like, did he really need new cleats? So I couldn't tell Seth no to that.
Mm-hmm.
If Seth called me because he's on the streets and he's hungry or needs food, and I would probably be zelling him money every day.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know tough love like that.
Yes.
Where do you stand with that?
Alina, and it's any parent that's listening right now, mom, dad, or even grandparents for that matter, have their loved one that's in addiction, I'm sure been in that exact situation. And it is so heartbreaking. I have literally, it's been going on since he's been a teenager and he's 26 now. I have done it all. I have thrown money at it, at the situation. I have paid for him to be in sober living. So many, I couldn't keep count if I tried. I have clothes, money, Zelled, food. I have done it all. I've tried the tough love thing. Even I wasn't very good at it.
I think you're getting better, and I'll tell you why after.
Yes, I'm getting better now with the tough love because I've put so much money and compassion into it, and And I'll always have compassion for my son, but helping him when he's in his active addiction only harms him. Like there's a saying in my recovery rooms, you baby the alcoholic, you'll bury them. And yeah, that's a hard one to hear. And I've been to many funerals,
Well, I'm an enabler. So I know for a fact, like I enabled my sister, my brother, like I know for a fact I still do. Like everybody, comes to me and I'm okay. But I've never dealt with something as serious as my child being an addict. I don't know how I would, like, I commend you for even like still loving him, trying to do everything you can to fix him, to help him, even though in the back of your head, only he can fix himself.
Yes. One of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life, I had to put him out of the house. He lived with me and his sisters. Maybe he was 20 years old or something. Like, yeah, when he was 20 years old, they were both still in high school, the girls. One was in 9th grade. The other was like in maybe 11th or 12th grade. And it was really bad. He was just out of control. The police would show up at our house. The ambulance would show up at our house, the fire department. If he came home at 2-3 in the morning and we didn't open up the door, he's pounding on it. And we lived in an apartment building. He'll break out a window. We didn't know.
And that's not your husband. That's not your boyfriend. That's your child.
My child.
That gives such a different meaning to heartbreak, right?
Heartbreak, because even by the time he was 20, he's like this big, huge, young man, and he's breaking out windows, and he doesn't know. I heard you say earlier, and it's, I guess we could pick this apart at another time or something, but like sometimes when people are drinking, they speak the truth. I don't believe that to be true, because I don't well, number one, my son blacks out when he drinks. And then also it brings out he might be, you never know. If he's loaded, he might be a happy drunk or on drugs, or he might be saying the most horrible things.
Yeah.
I've had him say things that are just unspeakable to me, that just sounds sheer evil. And I know that he doesn't mean those things. And I even now I think, oh, he's going to feel terrible when
he's sober.
When he sobers up. I don't believe that's the real him at all. And when he does call me a week later, he's like, Mom, oh my God, I don't remember exactly what I said. But, he not too long ago had a falling out with his childhood best friend that he loves. He'd do anything for. I mean, he'd take a bullet for him in a second, And, he said horrible things to him that he didn't even remember.
Yeah.
That he remembered some of the things. And I was like, and he was telling me like 1 or 2 of the things he said. And I was like, that's horrible. Why would you say that? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I was loaded. I hadn't slept in 3 days.
And I think kids that are so young, I don't care, because kids, whether we like it or not, start drinking earlier than 21, right? Your mind's not fully developed. And you don't know how much alcohol you can or cannot handle. You don't know who you're going to be. And my son at 23 has realized, I probably shouldn't drink.
Yeah.
He's now realized, which I think is commendable at his age, he realizes it, because he went through a lot with drinking and made some decisions that have affected his life up to this point. But I saw him kind of drunk twice, I guess. And I was mortified. I didn't like my son. And what mother says that? But I looked at him like.
So it wasn't the real him, Alina.
It wasn't the real him. And well, actually, it is the real him, because that's who he is when he drinks. So that is the real him, unfortunately. I have to accept that.
Yeah.
However, when he woke up the next day and we didn't talk for a few days, and I don't have to talk to Loran for a week and she won't care. I don't talk to Seth for 4 hours and his whole world crumbles, right? So I didn't talk to him for a few days, and he was like, I said, I don't know who that person is. I don't like that person. Like, that person scared me. Like, it reminded me of somebody you're not going to want to hear. And I don't ever want to tell you you're just like your father. But you, in that moment, were just like him, and it scared me. And so he really thought about it. And he just says, Mom, I probably shouldn't drink. And what I told him is, you're 23. You're not fully developed. You're not mature enough to drink the way you've been drinking. Yeah. So you need to really, really decide who you want to be in life. And this last year has been really growing for him. And so, like, he's in South Dakota, and he said the other day, I'm going to go have a drink or so with the guys. And instantly I'm like, oh God, okay. Like, he can do this. So all night I prayed and prayed. And the next morning, as soon as I woke up, I looked at his location. I'm like, okay, we're supposed to be. And I didn't say anything to him. But then later that day, I was like, did you have fun? And he's like, yeah, Mom, I just had like 1 or 2 drinks. It was not a big deal. And I was like, Thank you, Jesus. But that's so minimal compared to what you're going through. Like, and we spoke that one day you called me. Remember, I was at work and you're like, he's coming to Pedro. He wants me to sell him money for food. Do I not feed my kid? Do I feed my kid? And I was like, okay, well, where's he at? You're like, at the skate park down on Channel. He can go to Big Nick's right there and eat. You can call Big Nick's and pay for it.
Yeah.
Call him and tell him, go to Big Nick's. You could eat whatever you want there. And I will call, give them my credit card on, because they do that stuff.
Yeah, they'll
today,
do
right?
that stuff. Yeah.
After you played hardball, what did he tell you? Do you remember? He didn't end up coming?
No. Yeah. He was like, just forget it.
Yeah, he was like, forget it.
Just
I'm not
forget
gonna
it.
go then.
Yeah. If you call their bluff on it.
And I was so proud of you because in that moment, I thought you were going to hang up the phone and Zelle him money.
Yeah.
And call me later that night and be like, I just caved and I gave him money. And you called me back and you're like, he called his sponsor. His sponsor was like, she did the right thing. And he's like, I'm not going to go, Mom. Forget it. I'm just going to stay here with my sponsor and surf. And you're like, okay, have a good day. But that shows your growth where you're finally saying enough is enough because he's going to have to figure it out.
That's right. And I have put up with more than most people would. And I would like to say, I finally put him out when he was 20 and I just, but that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And I'm going to be very vulnerable and transparent here. It literally, he lived with me till the wheels fell off. My daughters who were like 9th grade and 12th grade, things got so bad that they went to their school counselor and they told their school counselor at Pedro High. And to this day, I'm forever grateful for her. She's actually one of my good friends, and they went to her and that I went to high school with, and they told her, how bad it was at home and how crazy he was with his addiction, because it was bad. If he wants your cell phone, he's going to steal it. If he wants. When he's in his addiction. Yeah. And they went and the school did what they were supposed to do. They called social services and social services got involved. And even though my kids weren't, babies or anything, they still were minors and they had the right to feel safe in their home. Mm-hmm. And because I was being so codependent with my son that I couldn't put him out of the house because where would he live? He'd be homeless, right? And my number one biggest fear was that if I put my son out on the streets, that he's gonna die out there. That if he overdoses or dies out on the streets, that I could never live with myself or forgive myself. Like what would I do?
I think that's how I would feel.
Right?
Like I think as a parent, there's never a judgment. No parent can say this or this about until you're living that is your child.
That's right.
That is not your man. That's not a boyfriend, right?
Yes.
And I don't think anything you've said, you being so vulnerable is going to help so many people because, Jen, there's so many parents out there that are going through what you're going through now. Nobody likes to talk about it. Nobody's honest. And everybody's afraid they're going to be judged. And how dare you judge another parent in a situation like that? Because you have zero control. You're just trying to make sure your son's safe any way you can.
Absolutely. And he did. So I ended up, the choice was actually out of my hands because the girls, when social services got involved, they said, well, he's an adult, even though he was 20. And they said, and the girls were like, you know what, if he doesn't move out, we'd rather be placed in foster care. We'd rather be placed in foster care than live in this.
Did that open up your eyes? Were you like, oh my gosh?
I didn't need any more clarity. And I realized very clear, they were minors. And that my sole responsibility was to them, even though he was my child, my firstborn child, my only son.
And he's your boy.
And he, all
We're
of that.
We're going to have a podcast about moms and their
sons. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is so different than moms and their daughters.
He's talked so many times as if he's an only child or something,
Yeah.
And I put him out and
that had to be hard. Even though you knew you were making the right decision and you're choosing your daughters because you had to.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you didn't cry at night. I know you did.
It was, I literally, that's when I started therapy at that time. I actually, at that time, I had to get on a antidepressant, a low dose of an antidepressant because I was having panic attacks. I was beside myself. I was like, I just would picture the worst, that my son was going to die out there. And at the same time, I wanted to be strong and be a mom for my girls. And you know what, Alina? As much as I thought, he won't be okay. He won't any of that. That's the age where he went to his first rehab. Oh. he rose to the occasion. All the things that I thought he would never do,
He's done.
He's done. He went to his first rehab. He, got a roommate. He had apartments. He didn't end up, has he slept many nights, like a night or two here or there on the streets? Yes, he has. But for the most part, he's been in tons of sober livings, rehabs. He's had his own apartment like 2 different times. All sorts of.
So, at the end, he's going to get sober. It's just going to take a matter of time. He has to go through all of whatever he's going through to get where he eventually needs to be.
And he showed that he was able to care for himself. And then the other thing that started happening is very heartbreaking. Many people that I know that struggle with the same thing, with addiction, with their sons and daughters, lost their child in their home. And I definitely know in my heart that it's not, there's many people that die on the streets and there's many people that die on the home. And it made me realize that, you know what, if he's going to choose this lifestyle and God forbid something happen, it's going to happen whether he's in your home, whether he's on the streets. Yeah. There's nothing that you did wrong or anything that you could do to make it so, prevent a certain outcome.
So today, getting that phone call for him, knowing he's safe, you felt better.
Oh, absolutely.
And not that it's going to be better forever, but right now, today, you can breathe until whatever tomorrow comes.
Absolutely.
We are so blessed that you sat here and shared all that, because I know all that about you. Yeah. And Solomon hears bits and pieces, right? But he's never fully heard all of that. And I know that that's hard to share. And I hope you don't ever think you would be judged by anybody, because as mothers, we can't judge other mothers. Not until we're in that same exact situation, right? I have no idea how to make the decisions you make.
Yeah, absolutely not. And then my kids, all 3 of them are very close in age. Yeah. And the theory of some people, well, that's how they were raised. You could look at my situation, and I mean, I was a young mom, lots of drama going up. The baby, their dad was in prison. I was struggling with alcoholism.
Out of 3 kids, 2 of them are phenomenal, and 1 will eventually be phenomenal. He's just taking a little longer to get there.
The other 2 don't drink, they don't use. I mean,
they're in college. You've done something right along the way. We've all made mistakes. We've all made bad decisions. Somebody can look at me and be like, "You had your daughter in the projects, and your boyfriend was carrying guns and selling drugs, and." I'm so blessed that my daughter's grandma didn't ever try to take her from me. So we've all made some not good, healthy choices in our life, and it is what it is. But thank you so much for sharing today, Jen.
Absolutely, Alina.
Really appreciate it. Solomon?
Nobody has a right to say anything to you about your bank, because all of our situations are different. We all make decisions day to day based on what's needed that day. So nobody has a right. I think the one thing to remember, you said the first time he went to rehab, whatever reason he gave you at that time, just remember that reason, because that's the one that will ultimately, get him over the top. Whether it was, I'm just tired of this life, or I need something better, or this is going nowhere. Whatever that reason was, that's what'll save him, I think.
That's right, Solomon. And I continue to pray for him. And I'm also, though, I will say this, I continue to, even though there's pain in it, I pray and I do turn it over. Sometimes I have to turn it over to God many times throughout the day, but I also deserve to enjoy my life.
You do. You definitely
and to celebrate what's going on in my life and all of that.
And your daughter's lives.
And my daughter's lives. And to know that he has his own path. And I mean, if there was hope for me, Alina, I came into the rooms of recovery at 19 years old in 1995, and my sobriety date is in 2012. Yeah. So it took me 17 years, so there's hope for him, for me, for all of us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate it. Yes. Until next week, and I really thought about this. It might have to be about sons and mothers. That might be a thing. But thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you, Solomon. Bye.
Okay, bye.